All right, we're solving another one here. This time, instead of dealing with our lovely friends sine and cosine, we've got to deal with secant instead. Now, personally, I'm not really a fan of dealing with secant or cosecant. Fortunately, we have some identities where we can change secant into something that is equivalent to. There are a couple of ways I can think about this, so I'm going to talk about it both ways. First, I can say that secant of x is the same as 1 over cosine of x. So I could say then replacing secant of x with 1 over cosine of x is equal to 2. And then I could solve this equation for cosine of x. So I do that by multiplying both sides by cosine of x and then dividing both sides by 2. So that would give me cosine of x is equal to 1/2. Now, the other way that I could think about this is I learned that if I know what the value of secant of x is, then I also know what the value of cosine of x is because it's just the reciprocal. So I could just say cosine of x is 1/2. So either way, that would get me to the first step where I have my trig function isolated, and now I can start thinking about the angles. So, okay, once again, I'm dealing with cosine. So I need to know which quadrants I should be looking in. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this again. Again, cosine is my x value. So in quadrant 1, x's are positive. Quadrant 2, x's are negative. Quadrant 3, the x's are negative. And in quadrant 4, the x's are positive again. So since this says cosine of x is equal to a positive 1/2, I would be looking for answers in quadrants 1 and 4 this time. So 1 and 4. All right, so now I need to know what the reference angle is that I'll be dealing with. Okay, cosine is the number of fingers above the one I have folded down on my hand trig. So to get 1/2, I would need one finger above the one I fold down. So counting from the top, that would mean my thumb is up and I would fold down my index finger. That angle is pi over 3. So I need pi over 3 in quadrant 1. That's the bigger angle over here in quadrant 1. The reference angle is pi over 3, and I need the angle in standard form. Now in quadrant 1, your reference angle and the angle in standard form are the same angle, so that one's just pi over 3. Now for quadrant 4, again, that's the larger angle between your terminal side and your nearest x-axis. So this is pi over 3 here. The angle that I actually need is in standard form. So from 0, rotating counterclockwise. So if I want to find that, the reference angle that I have is between the terminal side and 2 pi. So if I wanted to find it, I could say 2 pi minus pi over 3. And so I would think of 2 pi as 6 pi over 3. Minus pi over 3 would give me 5 pi over 3. So my solutions this time would be pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Okay, now you try the next one and answer the question on the form.